Welcome to Back to the Feature, where I watch the full movie so you don't have to. I'm your host, Dwayne, and today we're looking back at the 1984 black comedy film, Gremlins. This Christmas film introduced us to Gizmo and Stripe and showed us how quickly things can turn when you don't follow the rules. We start off in Chinatown, where Randall Peltzer wanders into an antique store where he finds a small creature just chilling and making noises. The shop owner tells him it's a Mogwai and it's singing. Randall has to have him as a gift for his son Billy. He offers the shop owner $200 for him, but he says the Mogwai isn't for sale at any price. His grandson is not one to pass up that kind of green, so he sells the Mogwai to him on the sly and then tells him there are 3 strict rules to follow in caring for the creature. Rule number 1, keep it out of the light, especially sunlight, because it'll kill him. Rule number 2, don't let it get wet. And the most important rule, do not feed it after midnight, no matter what. Back home in Kingston Falls, Billy's day gets off to a bad start because he's running late for his job at the bank and his car won't start. For some reason, his dog Barney goes with him to work and hangs out under his teller booth. Billy's day gets even worse when the town Scrooge, Mrs. Deagle, shows up in her usual foul mood. She confronts Billy about Barney breaking her porcelain snowman, and she wants the dog as compensation so she can take him to the kennel and have him dealt with properly. Barney is listening from under the counter and decides to give the old bat a piece of his mind. Of course, she cries victim and vows to get her revenge on Barney when he least expects it. That night, Billy ends the day on a better note when he hangs out at the local bar where Kate, his cute coworker from the bank, is moonlighting at night. His dad returns home that night bearing a gift that has to be opened right away. Before he can open it, they dim the lights because, rule number 1. Billy unwraps the present, and this is where we get our first real good look at this strange little fellow. He slowly rises out and is actually a cute little guy. When Billy asks if he has a name, his dad says he calls him Gizmo and he seems to like it. To celebrate the new addition to the family, Billy's mom, Lynn, decides to snap a picture. The flash goes off on the camera and Gizmo freaks out. He mutters bright light, and runs to Randall for safety. You can't blame Lynn though. Randall didn't tell her the rules. Gizmo is shaking in his boots and holding on to Randall for dear life while Randall explains the rules to them so everyone is on the same page. Later in his room, Billy and Gizmo bond over musical notes and Gizmo gets to rock a Santa hat. The next day, Billy's friend Pete comes over and gets introduced to Gizmo and promptly spills water on him. Poor Gizmo falls on his face and starts screaming bloody murder, and then something pops off his back. There's a new little ball of fur sitting there, and it's growing in size as Billy and Pete just sit there staring at it like a couple of dumbasses. As it gets bigger, 4 more fur balls fly out, and Gizmo looks exhausted like he just went through 8 hours of labor. Each of the fur balls grows until they unfurl their big ears to reveal themselves to be baby Mogwai. Now there are 5 new Mogwai to deal with, and one of them even has a unique mohawk stripe of fur on its head. Billy tells his dad about the Mogwai multiplying when it gets wet. You would think Randall would be mad at him for breaking one of the rules, but nope. He's thinking how they could make more and sell them to kids all over the country. So dumbass is hereditary. Billy realizes that all the new Mogwais are different from Gizmo, and the striped one seems to be their leader. Gizmo stays away from this new group because they look like trouble. That night, Billy wakes up to find Barney hanging from some Christmas lights out on the front porch. I wonder how that could have happened. The most likely suspect is Mrs. Deagle, but we know that's not who did it. Billy takes one of the new Mogwai to his old science teacher, Mr. Hansen. He shows the teacher what happens when a drop of water gets on the little creature. 1 drop of water equals 1 new Mogwai. Just breaking rules left and right now. The teacher is so intrigued and asks if he can keep one there for further study. And once again, Billy doesn't pass along the rules to the teacher. First thing he does is take a blood sample, and the Mogwai is not happy at all about that needle. Billy stops by the bar as Kate is escorting old Murray Futterman out to his tractor. He's drunk and tells Billy and Kate to watch out for gremlins because foreigners are planting gremlins in our machinery. He's drunk, but wise. As Billy walks Kate home, he's dumbfounded to learn that Kate doesn't celebrate Christmas. She gets a bit defensive about it, but still agrees to go out on a date with him later that week. Back at home, the new Mogwai are hooting and hollering about wanting to be fed. Billy looks at the clock to see that it's still before midnight, so it's okay to feed them again. At least he acknowledged the rules this time. He puts a plate of food inside their box and they tear at it like wild animals. He offers Gizmo a piece of chicken, but he declines. Meanwhile, back to school, Mr. Hansen is wrapping up for the night and the clock on the wall shows it's after 2 a.m. He leaves his sandwich next to the Mogwai's cage and it slowly pulls it in for a late night snack. And in a bit of foreshadowing, Billy and Gizmo fall asleep watching the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. When Billy wakes up, the new Mogwai are all gone and there are some gross-looking cocoon pods in his room. He calls his mom up and she asks Billy if he got them wet. She then asks if he fed them after midnight. Ding, ding, ding. Billy says he fed them, but it wasn't after midnight. He checks his clock and it still shows the same time as last night because the wires on it had been cut. Billy and Pete meet up with Mr. Hanson at the school lab to find the cage is now filled with a gross cocoon pod like the others. The teacher explains to them that the Mogwai is going through some changes inside the pod. It's Christmas Eve day and Randall is away at a convention, leaving Lynn home alone with the Mogwai pods, and Billy's at work. Upstairs in Billy's room, the pods start cracking open as poor Gizmo watches while hiding inside a motorcycle helmet. At the same time, the Mogwai at the school is also coming out as Mr. Hanson calls Billy at work to tell him it just hatched. Billy can't leave work fast enough. He doesn't even take the time to hang up the phone. Mr. Hanson tries to lure the Mogwai out with a candy bar, but it proves difficult to catch. It finally bites, but then decides it wants a bit more. When Billy shows up, he finds Mr. Hanson dead on the floor with a needle stuck in him. Billy goes for the phone, but a claw rises up and scratches his hand, and then the killer Mogwai gets out through the vent. Billy stops in the nurse's office to bandage his hand, and we get our first look at the Mogwai 2.0. This Mogwai is no longer cute and cuddly. It's bigger, green, somewhat reptilian, and mean as hell. It takes off again and Billy realizes there are more of these at his house where his mom is. Speaking of his mom, she's in the kitchen when she hears a commotion coming from Billy's room. Upstairs, the Gremlins are using Gizmo on the dartboard for target practice and then they chuck him down the laundry chute. Lynn grabs a large kitchen knife and heads upstairs where she finds the empty pods. Then Billy calls to warn her that they've hatched and she needs to get out of the house. She's on her own, so she goes back down to the kitchen where one of the Gremlins is eating her gingerbread men. When it sticks its head into the blender bowl, Lynn turns it on, causing its body to zoom around in circles, shooting green blood in all directions. She has drawn first blood and the battle is just beginning. Another Gremlin begins tossing plates at her as she advances with her knife. You don't mess with Mom because she goes full cycle on the little beast, stabbing it over and over until it's dead. She doesn't get a moment to catch her breath because she's instantly attacked from behind. She doesn't even blink though and hits it with bug spray, forcing it into the microwave where she cooks it until its head explodes like an overcooked Hot Pocket. She's already taken out 3 gremlins, so she arms herself with an extra knife for the next round, which involves her being attacked by a gremlin in her Christmas tree. Billy comes home just as the gremlin is choking his mom out on the floor. He grabs a sword and with one big swing he takes its head clean off, sending it into the fireplace. Nothing like the image of a gremlin head burning on the old Yuletide logs. That leaves 4 dead gremlins and only Stripe is left, who then escapes. Billy grabs Gizmo and follows Stripe's footprints to the YMCA where he's too late to stop Stripe from cannonballing into the pool. But when he sees the water bubbling up, he knows things just got a lot worse. Billy tries to warn the local police about the gremlins, but they don't believe him even after he shows them Gizmo. Meanwhile, Stripe is now leading a much larger gremlin army through the streets as he begins his new rampage. They begin terrorizing the locals by various means and even drive a tractor through Murray Futterman's house with him in it. Then they come across Mrs. Deagle's house. It's time for a bit of karma. Inside the house, Mrs. Deagle comes down her stairs on a riding stair lift. She hears singing at her front door, and since she hates Christmas carolers, she runs out to throw water on them. Much to her surprise, these are not your normal Christmas carolers. You have to give the gremlins credit for really committing here. She screams and runs back inside as another gremlin is messing with the wiring on her chairlift. She makes her way into her chair and hits the button. That sucker kicks into overdrive and goes blasting up the stairs like a rocket. When it hits the top, it sends her flying out a second-story window where she splats in the street just as the sheriff is driving by. It can be exhausting waging war, so it's good to kick back, relax, and blow off some steam at the local pub. The gremlins have taken over the bar and poor Kate is stuck trying to deal with them while they're drinking, smoking, and tearing up the place. In the corner, Stripe is playing poker with some of the gang when he has to shoot one of his own for cheating. This scene really showed the range of personalities the gremlins have. They really are having the best time. Kate figures out they don't like fire when she tries to light a cigarette for one of them. She then proceeds to use the flash of her Polaroid to blind them so she can escape just as Billy pulls up. They hide in the bank, and while they regroup, Kate explains why she hates Christmas. When she was little, her dad never came home for Christmas, and days later he was found stuck in the chimney wearing a Santa costume. So yeah, that would ruin it for you. When they exit the bank, the streets are eerily quiet. They go to the theater with the assumption that the gremlins are hiding inside because the sun will be up soon. And sure enough, they were right. The theater seats are packed like opening night as all the gremlins chow down on popcorn and candy watching Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Who knew they liked musicals so much? They start singing along with the movie, and even Gizmo joins in from the lobby. Seeing how enthralled they are gives Billy an idea. They go down to the boiler room while Stripe's search for candy takes him to a store across the street. Billy opens the valves to let the gas spill out, and then he starts a fire. Before they can leave, the jig is up and the Gremlins are after them. They get out and block the back door behind them, and right as they reach safety, the theater explodes. All the Gremlins inside are killed as Stripe watches from across the street. His insatiable desire for more candy actually saved his life. He takes off though when they spot him, and now Billy and Kate are in hot pursuit. Billy knows they've got to catch him before he makes it to water again. He follows Stripe through the store while Kate looks for a way to turn the lights back on. While she's flipping switches, she accidentally turns on the water fountain in the back of the store. Gizmo decides to help and goes off on his own. Thankfully he did, because Stripe is getting the best of Billy in the sporting goods section. Stripe shoots Billy in the arm with a crossbow and then goes after him with a chainsaw. Gizmo finds a pink Barbie Corvette and drives through the store as Kate finally starts turning on the lights just in time to blind Stripe and save Billy. Unfortunately, Stripe ends up near the fountain. Stripe is standing on the edge of the fountain while Billy just watches as he starts getting wet. He doesn't even try to stop him. Thankfully, Gizmo comes in to save the day. He distracts Stripe and then pulls the lever to open the roof, hitting Stripe with direct sunlight. Everyone comes together as Randall gets back in town and walks in while Billy, Kate, and Gizmo watch Stripe perform a slow and painful looking melting act. He finally falls into the fountain and does the final last jump scare at Billy before becoming a puddle of goo. That night, they're watching the news tell the story of the mayhem that occurred in town. They're surprised to see the shop owner in their living room, and he's pissed. He has come to retrieve Gizmo because they can't be trusted to properly care for him. Let's face it, he's not wrong. They totally screwed up, royally, and people died. As he leaves, he tells Billy that perhaps someday he'll be ready to take care of Gizmo. Someday meaning when the studio is ready to do a sequel. And just like that, the old guy walks off with Gizmo. The end. While this was a Christmas movie, it was actually released in the middle of summer. That didn't matter though, because it made a buttload of money even though it was released the same time as Ghostbusters. Surprisingly, there's only been one sequel made so far, but there's talk of a possible third film. So that's the story of Gizmo and the Gremlins. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, drop your favorite Gremlins moment in the comments, and subscribe for more cinematic blasts from the past. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Back to the Feature.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.